Sweden's decision to station gun-based short-range air defense vehicles with its NATO unit in Latvia beginning in 2026 marks a quiet but consequential shift in the alliance's Baltic posture. It is Sweden's first operational deployment of anti-aircraft guns abroad since the 1960s, and it lands at a moment when cheap, low-flying drones and slow cruise missile-class threats are testing European air defenses every day. At heart, the move is about restoring balance to a layered architecture that has too often leaned on expensive interceptors for tasks best handled by rapid, repeatable, and affordable gun effects. It is also a political signal that Stockholm is not merely a new flag on NATO maps but a contributor of practical capabilities tuned to the battlefield as it actually exists. The backbone of this package is the Luftvärnskanonerväg 9040, or Lvkv 9040, the gun-based air defense variant of the CV-90 family. Built on a chassis already proven across Nordic mechanized forces, the system pairs a 40mm Bofors L/70 cannon with programmable air-burst ammunition and an integrated surveillance and fire control suite commonly described in open sources as the PS-95 radar housed in a cylindrical mount atop an enlarged turret. The vehicle is designed to fight from short halts, not to blaze away while bounding across fields, and that is by design. Its point defense mission is to throw a fragmentation umbrella over logistics nodes, command posts, air defense apertures, and maneuver battle groups during pauses. The 40mm caliber gives a meaningful single-shot payload against drones, helicopters, and cruise-class targets at the ranges where they are most dangerous. Why guns, and why now? The answer is the cost-exchange ratio. High-end missiles are exquisite and essential at medium and high altitudes, but swarming quadcopters and low, slow flyers can drain magazines and budgets at a ruinous rate. Gun systems firing airburst rounds are optimized for that environment. They can fire quickly, sustain effects with manageable logistics, and generate dense fragmentation patterns precisely where needed. Programmable fusing unlocks geometry in the sky, creating clouds of metal that shred rotors and airframes without relying on a direct hit. As front lines have learned, the ability to keep shooting hour after hour matters as much as a spectacular single intercept. Sustainability is strategy. Sweden's choice complements the alliance's recent SHORAD renaissance. Germany's Gepard, with twin 35mm guns and a head-type ammunition, has shown in Ukraine that gun vehicles can reliably fell Shahid-class UAVs and slow-moving cruise targets. The Swedish approach trades the Gepard's twin-barrel volume for a modern 40mm effect, packaged on a lighter, CV-90, derived platform that integrates naturally with armored formations already familiar to Nordic crews. The lesson from Gepard is equally instructive: ammunition supply is not a footnote but the main text. Forward-deployed gun fleets live or die on the robustness of the industrial base to produce programmable rounds at scale and on time. Stockholm's planners will be aligning training calendars with production schedules so that Latvian deployments are not gated by shell deliveries. Compared with the next generation of European concepts, Rheinmetall's Skyranger 30-turreted system on Boxer vehicles is the most cited example. The Lvkv 9040 is not a science project but a ready tool. Skyranger promises compact remote turrets, highly automated multi-sensor suites, and 30mm airburst precision with networked queuing. That is where SHORAD is going and should go. Yet readiness is its own capability. Sweden's vehicle exists, crews are trained, and the 40mm round hits harder per shot than 30mm, particularly useful against small UAVs carrying oversized warheads. The trade-offs are honest: a heavier manned turret, more traditional ergonomics, and limited fire on the move. For guarding static or semi-static NATO nodes in Latvia, those compromises are acceptable. Russia's Tu-38 Derivatsiya-PVO illustrates a different design philosophy, stretching to a 57mm gun for longer reach and heftier fragmentation. The idea promises standoff and lethality but amplifies logistics demands and vehicle weight while lacking real-world validation at scale. Sweden's 40mm path emphasizes responsiveness and precision at the most common engagement distances over the Baltic land corridor. In NATO's layered construct, the Lvkv 9040 does not compete with MANPADS or radar-guided missiles. It fills the inner ring that catches leakers, shreds reconnaissance drones orbiting depots, and forces an adversary to spend better munitions on targets previously vulnerable to cheap, attritional flights. Operationally, the deployment complicates reconnaissance strike cycles. Persistent enemy UAVs hovering near airfields, ammunition parks, and command nodes face a denser, more punishing point defense environment. Instead of betting on saturating missile batteries, an adversary must now consider that each sortie may run into programmable fragmentation cued by local radar or by a growing web of shared sensors. As NATO sharpens its sensor-to-shooter networks, Swedish guns can be fed tracks from Allied radars, unattended ground sensors, or UAVs, finding the sweet spot where inexpensive gun rounds are guided by high-quality targeting data. Using costly effectors for cheap problems is bad economics. Latvia's new gun layer reverses that equation. There is a broader message in the timing. Sweden's reintroduction of gun-based air defense on an overseas mission underscores a return to high-intensity deterrence thinking after decades focused on homeland defense and international crisis management. It also reflects a realistic reading of the modern battlefield. Drones are not a niche nuisance but a defining feature of contemporary warfare, enabling near-continuous surveillance and pop-up strikes. The right answer is a mixed magazine, guns for the many, missiles for the few, and electronic warfare to disrupt the rest. The Lvkv 9040 adds a reliable, repeatable instrument to that orchestra at the precise altitude band where daily pressure is highest. None of this erases the system's limitations. A manned turret brings crew protection considerations, firing from short halts demands disciplined tactics and terrain use, and the platform's effectiveness depends on sustained stocks of programmable 40mm rounds. Yet these are manageable constraints. The CV90 lineage simplifies maintenance, spare parts, and training pipelines. Interoperable communications and data standards reduce friction when integrating with Allied command and control, and the ammunition question, while real, is at least solvable with money and planning, unlike time, which cannot be bought. In Latvia, the calculus favors a mature solution that thickens defenses now, not an immaculate solution that arrives later. The geopolitical dividend is equally tangible. Stockholm's move signals full integration into NATO's force packages on the eastern flank and offers a capability that allies understand and can anchor around. For Latvia, it means denser protection of high-value assets and a harder environment for any adversary seeking to hold the country at risk through persistent drone presence or low-flying harassment. For the alliance, it is another step away from brittle air defense concepts toward resilient ecosystems that pair exquisite interceptors with plentiful, affordable effectors guided by shared sensing. In an era when the cheapest aerial threats often cause the most persistent headaches, that is exactly the kind of practicality the Baltic Shield requires.